Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's painting tutorial, which is going to be Lord Weird Slough Feg from Slaine by Pat Mills. This is for the 2000 AD Warlord game, Slaine Kiss My Axe game. He is the leader of the Drunes. So when you're looking for it, he obviously falls under the Drune category for a lot of things. He is one of the main Slaine villains in the comics, especially the early series. Now, before I go too far into him, basically I primed in black and now I'm given a heavy dry brush of the white scar base paint. Now, Lord Weird Slough Feg, if I say this wrong at any point, I do apologise, was the leader of the Drunes, intent upon enslaving all of the lands of the young with his corrupting sour magic. For an age, he dwelt in caves of beasts and fed on child sacrifices. He is terrifying. He once was a horned god, just like Slaine ultimately becomes, but he didn't release his power after a set amount of time, which was normally the case for the chosen of the horned god. Instead, he kept it, and it slowly corrupted him, and he became this undead creature that we can see before us that we're going to paint up. He serves the time worms, and he is just damn right creepy all over. He sacrifices people in Wicker Man. He is just a real creep. Even in the comics, he comes across super creepy. Some artists give him like a super pale, deathly flesh tone. Others go for a little bit more greenish. I'm going to go into the greenish tones with this one. But he is ultimately one of the main villains. He has a stat line that also matches it. He's got a notoriety of 18, which makes him one of the more expensive bad guys. And before I keep yapping on, we'll just check out this paint. Maligant Green by Army Painter Speed Paints. I'm using this for the first step of his flesh tones. So he's got a lot of flesh on show, which is pretty cool. Most of the Slaine models actually have a lot of flesh on show. But what it does for me, it makes me practice my flesh tones. It's something that I need to do more often. As I'm painting this, I'm keeping in head my Judge Dredd paint scheme. The flesh areas on that model were a lot smaller. It was just hands and the face. But I like the effect that this colour gave, so I'm using it again. And we'll do some extra stages to it as well, just to help it pop. But yeah, he's got powers in game. He's got things like sour magic, which lets him draw some magical powers that you can call upon during game. He is obviously a hero of Cromcroch. I absolutely destroyed that name. I do apologise. But the Great Time Worm. And he gets 2 feat cards for that. He's deathless. He cannot be killed. So he just has the deathless feat as a given. He is also terrifying. So he has the terrifying skill. Characters of a weaker nature are not able to stand before him, and those models have to pass a cool check before they do anything to get near him. Now, weirdly, in a fight with Slaine, Slaine could not defeat him and was ultimately captured and almost burnt alive in a Wicker Man by Slough Feg. In the ensuring escape and chaos of the battle, Slaine actually ripped off his genitals and fed them to the time worm, which was quite comical. But yeah, if you've not read the Slaine comics, you're really missing out. So go treat yourself, pick it up, enjoy. You can get it on Kindle quite readily, and also you can get it direct from 2000 AD if you prefer to go that route. But yeah, go treat yourself. Go enjoy the comic. It's hilarious. I might even drop a link below for you. But yeah, as you can see, I'm getting the green on. It looks quite bright now. That will dull down as it dries. And once I do a few other steps to it, it's really going to knock it back and make him hopefully look a bit more deathly looking. But we're just going to finish up these final steps. Camera lost focus. I do love it when this camera loses focus on what I'm doing. For some reason, it's decided to lock on my thumb. But you get the idea. Covering all the flesh in the green. That is now done, so we will leave him to dry. With that now dry, we grab the Gravelord Grey. And normally I'd use this on the bases of my sci-fi figures, but we're going to use it on his sickle today. These guys, unlike the tribes that Slaine is a part of, these guys don't mind using metals. They're all about tearing up the earth. They're not really pro-nature like the Slaine tribes and worshipping Mother Earth. They're about progression. So I'm using this to represent some metallic, as I don't particularly like using metallic paints. Recently gained a new follower to the channel and found them over on Instagram, and I noticed they too hate metallics. It's quite comical when I see it. He painted up some lovely ABC warriors, but he also made a comment about hating metallics. So it's glad to know I'm not the only one out there. I then grabbed the runic grey that I'm going to use on his head piece. Now, in some artwork, it seems to be a leather number. In other artwork, it seems to be a skull. I've kind of gone, I guess, more towards the skull. My reasoning is I'm going to have, obviously, a dark brown on the handle of his weapon. He's going to be stood on brown mud, and he's also going to most likely have a brown thong. So I wanted to maybe mix it up a little bit and not have too much brown on the model. This runic grey, it's going to dry up quite light, which will be nice. It won't get confused with the darker Gravelord grey, and it was a nice easy step, just a gentle touch of colour to it. Next up comes the pallid bone. Now I'll give you one guess where I'm going to use it. That's right, the skulls. So we're going to firstly capture all the ones that are on his feet. He is almost ready for 40k with all those skulls around him, but instead he is a pure Slaine fantasy goodness. I'm going to make sure I get good coverage on all of it. This is, even if it seeps into the base, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to be hitting that up with brown anyway. So a nice heavy coat will make them look dirty and old. These aren't new sacrifices, these ones are older sacrifices. And then of course we have the one in his hand and the antlers. Now I do love all the antler motifs that I've seen. I know it's to do with the horned god, so it makes perfect sense that they would, but I love that nearly everyone has elk antlers or some form of antler somewhere on them. It just looks right. It always looks right. Let's skip forward. With everything drying up nicely, we move on to the dark wood. It's going to be used in a few spots around the model. The most obvious one is the base. I'm trying to go for a dark brown on all the bases, make it look muddy, make it look like they're fighting over actual countryside. This is beaten down, soggy ground that either the worshippers have been stamping along or blood has been shed, and it's just turning everything into this boggy wasteland. Perfect for Fomorians when they come into the fight. Also, maybe his sour magic is killing off the grass and turning everything into a mushy compost. With a little bit brown left on the brush, I'm just going to go in and get the antlers just towards the end of them. I always feel, I might have made this up, but I feel like when you look at pictures of elks and deer, it's normally darker near the head. So we're going with that idea. And then, of course, there is the handle of his weapon. Now, if I was fussier, there is straps of cloth wrapped around the handle of this. I'm not fussy, so I'm not going to go in and fix that. I'm just going to leave it as this dark brown. You won't see it at 3 foot away, but if you were to pick up the model, you would notice it. That's just me being lazy. You can go in, of course, and fix it up, but I just don't feel the need to. Right, with that done, we can move forward. And that next stage is hardened leather. It's a lighter brown colour, as you would imagine. Looks like leather. And I'm going to use it on his tabard / thong that he has going on. There was a part of me that was tempted to go red, go like a real pop of colour. But at the same time, I can imagine maybe this is leather made from animals that have been sacrificed, or even possibly humans. So I felt it made sense to go this kind of route with it. I've seen people do some nice colours on it. I've seen some with blue, red, browns, different types of browns. So I think any colour can go. It's up to your imagination. The great thing with Slaine is that the paint schemes are a lot more open than Judge Dredd. They're not wearing a uniform, so if you decide you want yellow to be the colour pop, you could have yellow spread out throughout your force. No one's going to say boo to it. These guys had multiple artists, multiple painters. They looked different at different times of the battle. So have your way at it. Personally, I've probably gone a lot lighter green than any green flag that you'd have seen in the comics. But I kind of like it, so I'm happy. Up next is the Holy White. This is going to be his hair. It's quick, it's dirty. I'm just getting it on. It's going to make it grey. The peaks are going to stay nice and white. My camera is not going to focus. I've really got to work out how far away I've got to be. There we go. It's kind of back. It's kind of back, guys. This is probably a good time to say like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. There's going to be loads of 2000 AD stuff coming. I'm really determined to get through my backlog. We're working on some ABC introduction videos for that game. I think Slaine's coming next for me. I want to get some games in. I've also worked out how to build a gaming board. It's only going to be a 2-foot by 2-foot because this is a game that I don't plan on playing too often, so I just want something quick and dirty that I can throw down. Chances are once I start building, I'll make it a proper 3x3 table, but the whole idea is it's little 1x1 squares that I'm going to paint up and decorate for fantasy. So hopefully you'll join me for that. And the best way to do it is by subscribing and hitting the notification button. Love that, hey? You gotta love it. I'm like doing some self-promoting here, guys. There you go. The hair is now done and we can move on and I can stop self-promoting. Up next, there's not many stages left, let's be honest. Look at it, it's looking cool. I want to add some colour to his eyes and to his hands. So I've grabbed the purple alchemy. It's called purple, but it looks very pink to me. Not entirely sure why it's called purple alchemy. Maybe it is purple and I'm just stupid. But I'm going to use this on its eyes. So I want to make sure I get nice good coverage in there. It's going to pop against that runic grey, which is wonderful. That's what we wanted. Probably would have got lost next to a dark brown. So I'm glad I went with the runic grey. And then what we're going to try and do is splodge this around on all the muscles in different areas of the model to give him a kind of zombie undead wasting away, but there's still some blood pumping around look. It's weird. It's kind of, I've seen other people doing this on, say, orcs and goblins. If people suffered from gout, it's kind of, I'm trying to think where blood would settle if they're not moving around a lot. So I'm getting anywhere where you see muscle definition, kind of like the shaded areas or quite raised areas. As I go around, he's going to start looking a bit bruised, a bit battered, a little bit gnarly. He's not a healthy guy. He's been around for way too long. He's extended his life beyond what he should have. He probably stinks terribly, which is why his goons all have the straw masks. He is rotten. He is just rotten to the core. And I feel this is going to give that effect as we go around. It's going to take a while, so I'm going to skip forward a little bit, but you get the idea. With the last few dabs, we can probably go into the glamour shots now. Hope you enjoyed. If you have learnt something or I've inspired you to grab a paintbrush, make sure you drop me a comment. Let me know where I can find pictures of your work. And just remember, if you join the coffee club, you get access to the secret Discord channel where we're starting to share some info. And if you have made it this far, please make sure to drop me a sheep in the comments and I'll pin it to the top for whoever does it first. And if you make me laugh or give me a valid reason to invite you to our Discord channel, I will drop you a personal private message inviting you over to Discord to join us. So, until then, I hope you enjoyed and I'll catch you in the next video real soon. Cheers for watching.